Hey, what is going on, everybody out there? This is Jakejames Lugo. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a brand new episode of Definitive Discussion Rebooted, where I bring on phenomenal individuals from all over the place in the gaming industry, the YouTube content creation realm, and a bunch of other places, and I bring them on the show to talk about some stuff. If you haven't already, definitely check out my Patreon page for the EX Mode bonus episodes to this show. There's a lot of great conversations and a lot of great guests that I know you guys will love. Remember, it's at the dollar level or higher, and you get all that exclusive content, plus more. There's a lot of stuff to enjoy, but today I got my friend Tabmok99. You probably have seen him on YouTube, checked out a lot of his Mortal Kombat content. He's been on a couple of my videos in collaboration with some of the reviews I've done for Mortal Kombat stuff specifically. So, Tabmok, what's good? How you been?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Yes, I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Jakejames Lugo, for having me here.
Of course, yeah. Always a pleasure chatting up with you. You're always welcome on the show. But today, we got to talk about some stuff, because stuff happened this morning at the time that we're recording this episode for you guys. The new reveal trailer for MK11 Aftermath was shown on both YouTube. It was also revealed on Twitter by the official Mortal Kombat Twitter, and Ed Boon was going around. He was cooking up something for a while, and he was like teasing it, which was kind of funny. But you got a chance to see the trailer, correct? I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely.
So yeah, there was a lot in there to digest, and a lot of cool surprises. The funny thing is, NetherRealm is really good at surprising people. Like every time I see like one of their reveal trailers and one of their stuff that's getting shown for the first time, I'm always excited because there's always going to be something you don't expect, and that's great.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it really seems like they're listening to the fans a lot. Just on little things like Sub-Zero's MK Deception costume, the with the Shredder helmet.
The Shredder helmet, yeah.
Dude, how many fans have you seen asking for that?
I saw Maximilian talking about that earlier today. Like, I was looking at reactions to the trailer stuff, and Maximilian was like, "Oh snap! It's Shredder Sub-Zero." I'm like, "Yes!" Like everybody's really happy with that.
Dude, and my timeline on Twitter has been filled with discussion about Sub-Zero's Shredder for like the last year. Like MK11 has so many alternate costumes. Why don't they have this one? Why don't they go back to the 3D era more? And here they are. They're pulling from the 3D era.
Which is very, very cool. So to kind of, stay a little bit on track, just so we can get it out the way for everybody that hasn't seen it yet. I'm pretty sure if you have, that's cool. If you haven't, here's a little bit of a summary. MK11 Aftermath is more story mode DLC, which is great. It's going to be like an epilogue or an additional piece of content that's going to expand upon the story of MK11 after the ending of the MK11 story mode. We're getting new characters. We're getting Fujin. We're getting Shiva, and special guest character RoboCop, which a lot of people have said like that was in some leaks before, but I don't remember that being in leaks, but I know people have talked about him being in an MK game. So that's like the main gist of the big stuff. And then obviously friendships, which is another huge deal for a lot of people. I'm pretty sure we're also probably going to get new fatalities in some way or some other stuff, obviously with the new characters. But this is some big stuff that they're adding to the game. I mean, what are your thoughts initially about it?
Okay, man, where do I begin? So let's start with what happened. That everything you're talking about is from today, but there was actually something yesterday. There was like a little teaser that this was going to happen, and it all started on, of all things, the Brazilian PlayStation account on Twitter, like PlayStation BR. They posted this kind of a teaser for it, and it was in Portuguese audio, and the MK fans were going nuts because even though most of us don't speak Portuguese, we knew there was something awesome going down. My sister-in-law is actually Brazilian, so I sent her the video, and I'm like, hey, quick, can you translate this for me? And I was like typing up subtitles, and I was like going to do an English sub for everybody. But before I could finish it up, then the video got released in English. So then we got to see what they were really saying.
They were really on that because they know like that stuff happens all the time with leaks, especially for big pieces of news or big like reveals and stuff. Somewhere in like a third world country, it's always going to get leaked.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're a big international corporation. They have a different strategy for so many different countries, and it makes sense that when you're trying to coordinate for that many different departments worldwide, something somewhere is going to slip up. And I think that kind of forced Warner Brothers' hand to post the English version as soon as they did. It's like, oh crap, they already posted it in Brazilian, so let's just get on it.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not the first time something like that has happened. So it was awesome. I was in the middle of translating it. Then we got the English one. So they kind of revealed that today would be the day where we got more stuff. And oh boy, did we ever. So let's start talking about the friendships, man.
Yeah, what do you think of that? Because we haven't seen friendships in a hot minute. And I think it's cool because obviously we got fatalities, which is the hallmark of MK. But now friendships just adds another layer onto like that finisher type of stuff, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's you're 100% right. Not only are the friendships a great throwback to, I guess MK3 was really the last time that we've seen them.
Yeah.
But man, not only that, but specifically like what they're doing is still a throwback to something. It seems like look at Sub-Zero with the ice cream cart. You know, how many times have you seen like those T-shirts that say Sub-Zero's frosty frozen treats? That's got to be a nod to that stuff.
Yeah.
Look at Scorpion with the giant teddy bear. That was based on something that happened at MK9 and one of the challenge tower missions.
I tell you one thing I do want to see. I want to see an MK2 throwback for Liu Kang's friendship. I want him to be disco dancing. If they could do that, then this is officially the greatest fighting game ever made, because that is a funny friendship.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's also funny because like in real life, a lot of those guys are professional dancers. Like Philip An, who played Shang Tsung in MK2, he dances for real. The real life actor who played Kung Lao, Anthony Marquez, he sings professionally. He can also bust a move. So like those guys back then, that was based on like what they could really do. That's really what they could bring to the table.
So let me ask you: do you think that every single character is going to have a friendship? Which I would assume that'd be like a thing for the entire roster.
Yeah, no, they would have to. They'd absolutely have to. You can't just give some people friendships and others not. So yeah, I'm 100% sure. It's just like every character has a fatality, right? Yeah. Multiple. Every character's got brutalities. So they're not going to go half-ass on this. They're not just going to give some characters friendships but not others.
True. Very, very true.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to tell you like a couple more throwbacks, like Scorpions with the giant teddy bear. That's based on something that happened in Mortal Kombat 9 in the Challenge Tower. There's like a little scene with him and Melina where that was a thing. And even Kano with the barbecue. I don't know if you saw that one. This might be a coincidence, but it could be based on a trading card from like 1995. There's a collectible trading card game by Brady Games.
Oh, I saw that.
Kano had a friendship where you'd kiss the cook. And it's like, dude, they made Kano a cook, and he's even using his eye laser to like heat up the barbecue. Dude, it's freaking phenomenal, and I can't wait to see what other ones.
You know, it'd be really funny if they have joke outfits. Like, imagine cooking with Kano and cooking with Scorpion. That'd be hilarious. Like, just like different cook outfits.
Dude, they could have a cook-off.
That'd be like, it'd be hilarious just to see that. But everybody have like joke outfits, because obviously there's multiple like pieces of gear and like pieces of outfits that you could put for all the different characters. That'd be something cool to have with these.
So, do you think Kung Lao could have like a chef hat?
Or have a fedora, make him look like Michael Jackson. That would be hilarious. I'm sorry. But there's so many things you could do with this that would just be utterly like goofy and hilarious.
Yeah, dude. Well, they've definitely gone over the top with all the customization, the gear, and everything you can do, and they keep adding more costumes in there all the time. So, I can't wait to see what they have next. Of course, you know, the person with the most joke outfits should be the Joker.
Oh yeah, hands down. That'd be that'd be very interesting. I can't wait to see what these guys are cooking up. But let's talk about some of these characters before we get into the story stuff, because we got 3 new characters that are coming, 2 of which are legacy characters, which is awesome, which is very, very cool. And of course, obviously, RoboCop, the big guest character. I mean, what do you think about these new characters? Should they have picked other characters that have appeared in like cutscenes and stuff and have them added onto the roster, or is this good?
These are both good additions. I don't know if these are the only additions. They might be saving something for May 26th, which is when
more? You think we're going to get more?
Maybe. I don't want to say yes, but you know, and if not by May 26th, then probably more later, right? But I think Shiva's a good character. She was already in story mode. We've seen her in the cutscenes. You know, she was a big part of the story. She wanted like an equal spot at the table for the Shokan. She was also a big part of the Mortal Kombat X comics. For those of you who've read those, they're awesome. So yeah, I think Shiva was great. Fujin also had a big part in the MKX comics, a little bit in MKX story mode. We didn't really see him that much in MK11, so he was a bit of more of a surprise for me, but a welcome one to be sure.
Yeah, which is very cool. And I don't even think that they were in like some of the more recent games like MK9 or anything of the sort. Like Fujin is one we haven't seen in a hot minute, I feel like. Like he's one, the last time I think we saw him was in MK Armageddon. I could be wrong on that, so don't take it for, you know, fact people.
The last time, no, you're right. The last time that you could actually play as him and interact with him was in MK Armageddon. Of course, he was an NPC in MKX, and he's been in the MKX comics and stuff. But finally, he's back for real.
Which he looked cool. Like some of his combos and stuff that he was doing in that little sizzle reel, that looked awesome. Same thing even with, with Shiva? I think her combos are very brutal. Like some of their, like, you know, their x-rays and stuff, I think are going to look very cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I can't wait to see what sort of fatalities they have. I'm sure we're going to get a few more of those dropping between now and May 26th. There'll probably be some kind of a combat cast between now and then. We'll see.
I would pretty much hope. Also, do you think we're going to get new stages? I mean, before we move on to RoboCop, which is what I really want to dive into, do you think we get new stages with these characters?
That's a good question.
Because we got stage fatalities. We saw stage fatalities because we saw the meat hook. I think it was Scorpion getting lowered down to the pit of acid or something.
they made such a big deal out of the whole Deadpool being back, and the cutscene with Shang Tsung versus the Tarkatans, that I almost have to think like, yeah, that why would they all be talking about it? I don't know if you saw that part. That was another thing that some MK Fire and Ice dropped, but there was like a cutscene with Shang Tsung versus a bunch of Tarkatans, and Aaron Black was with them, and oh man, it was just brutal.
The one that I saw, he was fighting like not the noob Cybop, was it the Lin Kuei cybernetic ninja? Or some generic ninja that Shang Tsung was fighting that he looked like he was like really beating some ass.
Okay, yeah, I think we're talking about the same thing, but it was just crazy where one of their cottons dropped into the Deadpool like that. Why would they go out of their way to highlight a classic stage? And they know the fans are asking for classic stages. That's got to mean that they're coming back. If not May 26th, then it's got to be soon.
That'd be really sweet. Now, let's talk about RoboCop, because RoboCop, that's a big get. That's a very cool guest character. I know a lot of people have talked about RoboCop for a while, and then also assuming because the Terminator was in here, like we weren't going to get something like that. But again, I find this to be the same situation with the Predator and the Xenomorph, the alien from MKX. Now we can have those dream matches, that we can have those little battles between RoboCop and the Terminator, which is pretty darn cool.
For sure. And I mean, RoboCop and Terminator have a shared history together. They've had their own comic series. They've had their own video game that was out on Sega Genesis and I think some other systems too. So yeah, to be able to put them as guests in MK11, that is a huge get for Mortal Kombat. I know some people don't really like the guest characters that much. Some people want to see more Mortal Kombat characters, which is totally understandable. But RoboCop is a good one. And believe it or not, there is a shared history with RoboCop and Mortal Kombat. The actor Bruce Locke, who played Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat Conquest, was also like the main villain of RoboCop 3.
Ooh, I didn't know that. That's dope.
Yeah. Some people accuse him of being the guy that ruined RoboCop 3, which is something that he jokes about a lot. I don't mind saying that because he jokes about it a lot himself. So
that is fun.
I don't know about you, but I plan on getting caught up on all the RoboCop films before.
Well, I gotta rewatch them, because now that he's coming out to the game, like it makes me want to rewatch like at least RoboCop 1 and 2 at some point. But what's cool that I saw, especially in the press release that I got, is that Peter Weller is doing the voice of RoboCop. That's RoboCop. Like he's played RoboCop in all the films, and that's a really cool thing because it confirms to me that NetherRealm knows how to do guest characters. They do a lot of justice to guest characters. They did it with obviously the Terminator because they got Arnold to do the voice. They have all their other guest characters in MKX and everywhere else where there's a lot of faithfulness to those characters, to those IPs, and it just works. It just meshes so well with the MK universe, and you don't see that level of care and attention to detail in a lot of other fighting games that have guest characters. Like I don't see the same thing. I mean, I shouldn't say that. There is a little bit of it with Tekken with I forgot the guy from The Walking Dead, as well as also Noctis in Tekken 7, where there is nods and a little bit of fan service, but I feel like it's even more so with the Mortal Kombat guest characters because you got the interactions, you got the fan service, the hard nods and the dialogue and extra stuff that I feel like NetherRealm goes above and beyond with them.
I think you're 100% right. The dialogue, pre-fight dialogue stuff that they do is definitely crazy. You can tell that people either really know their lore or they really do their research, but they make sure that there's a lot of fan service in there. So much so that it's like one of the things that YouTube content creators are doing is just making videos to explain, like, oh, well, here's what all the Spawn Easter eggs mean, and here's what all the RoboCop Easter eggs mean. Like, there will be people who look into it and then break it down and share it with everybody so that we get all those little references.
You know what's going to be dope? Just hearing some of the dialogue between the DLC characters, between Terminator, RoboCop and Spawn, or Spawn and RoboCop, like that, just the back and forth, because some of that dialogue, especially for Spawn when he came out, was so good and so awesome and so meta for a lot of things that it just was like, it was some of the best dialogue I've seen, like interactions between characters in fighting games. And with RoboCop, I feel like it's going to be really cool because just some of the catchphrases and the one-liners that are going to be there, especially when he interacts with the Terminator. Like, I can only imagine.
And not only that. Okay, well, first of all, yeah, definitely the Terminator. Like, how much do you want to bet that they're going to hint that these two have met each other before?
Oh, of course. That would be easily, like, that just a layup. Like, that'd be really cool, though, just to get that, like, back and forth with them. Just that meta dialogue. It's just so much fan service in there, and it just really confirms they just know how to make guest characters work within their universe.
For sure, man, for sure. And it's going to be really great to see Kano interact with RoboCop. You know, Kano has that whole cybernetic eye thing. It's going to be great to see Johnny Cage interact with them because obviously being a movie buff.
That's
You
gonna be
know it.
so funny because again, the same thing was hilarious with him in the Terminator, with him and Arnold, which was again just again super meta commentary on a lot of that stuff. Now, I do want to ask you though, because obviously the other big thing with it is the story content specifically. Do you feel like RoboCop and obviously like Shiva and Fuji are going to play a big role, but do you think like someone like RoboCop or any of these other guest characters are going to play any sort of role within that extra story content we're going to get?
I really doubt it. Typically, they don't like to include the guest characters in the story mode. I think it probably messes up something with licensing, and they probably would have to pay more money for that stuff too. So I kind of think that they're gonna keep the guests out of the story mode. And I think for the Mortal Kombat purists out there, that's probably good news for them. But on the other hand, I do think that the way they write the bios for the characters and the endings and stuff like that, that stuff is going to be woven into the fiction so well that you're going to love it.
Yeah, I think it'd be really good, especially for RoboCop. Like, I'm curious, super curious how that's going to be, because what they did with the Terminator was kind of clever, because again, he, with the whole Time Lord or time travel thing or whatnot, and involving Skynet and stuff, it was really tongue-in-cheek and it was cheesy, and some parts didn't make sense, but it was clever enough that I was like, okay, you just kind of roll with it, even though it's not canon to like the big story at hand and stuff. Do you feel like we're going to get a conclusive ending to the MK storyline with this extra DLC, or do you feel like there's going to be more beyond this? Because I thought at least with the story mode that we got before all of this stuff, that was a conclusive ending, at least in some way.
It seemed pretty conclusive, but if you remember, up till now, like in MK11 story mode, there were actually 3 endings depending on how good you were at beating Kronika. And it was a little open as to which one is the good one, but the one that most fans liked as the good one was the one where Liu Kang and Kitana get to restart time together. And now in the new trailer, at least it looks like that's not what happened, and it looks like and now Shang Tsung interrupts them. So that doesn't mean that Katana's not going to be part of it. Katana could still be part of it, but the story continues. And so we're just going to have to let that play out and see. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, what I've heard through the grapevine is there's going to be actually like a thing where you choose which character you pick, and you can choose a different ending. So if you beat the game with Liu Kang, you'll get one ending, and Katana might be part of his then. But if you the other choice would be you could beat it with Shang Tsung, and you get to see what life is like under him when he gets the good ending. So it's kind of like Injustice. You could kind of, at least Injustice 2, you could kind of have like a Superman ending and a Batman ending. They're going to do the same thing here between Liu Kang and Shang Tsung.
That'd be awesome. That'd be very freaking cool. I would even take it if it was just like you get to choose between Liu Kang and Raiden, and that like you follow that story there like that, because obviously he's involved with it too. But just the choice or just the multiple paths you could take with it, it's just a lot of replay value, which is going to be cool. But again, it just adds more to the lore and adds more to like stuff that it makes this game exciting. It gets everybody excited for MK11 again, I should say. Where do you think now after this did the series go? Like, what do you think now after this stuff? Maybe then do they start talking about or start thinking about MK12 at some point? Do you feel like maybe
at some point? No, I think they're going to keep MK11 going for quite some time, though. I really feel like they've invested so much into MK11. I think they're going to support this game for a few years, and even when Injustice, obviously after this, they're going to have to move on to Injustice 3, right? Yeah. So they're probably going to take a break from it. They might still do a few updates to MK11 here and there. There's going to be updates to the MK mobile game. So I feel like MK12 is quite some time off. But I think what your question is, well, what about when they finally do get to MK12? What then? That's a really good question.
I mean, it's anybody's ball game at this point, but like even now, like I feel like after this is like a conclusive end to the MK11 storyline, and I feel like after this point, you just add more characters. Like there's still plenty of characters they can add to the roster as DLC. Like we still have like 3D era characters we haven't really seen yet, or haven't even really gotten a chance to play with for a while. I mean, they could even add other classic characters that I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like which ones they haven't added yet. Like
Havoc. I see a lot of requests for Havoc. If you're gonna have Havoc, I don't see how you can have Havoc without Hotaru, really. Rico is like or Reiko, I should say, is another popular one. And they have like NPCs. They have Cyrex and Sector in cutscenes. We haven't really seen Smoke. They haven't done anything with Triborg. So there's still a lot of stuff that they could show us. What do you think, though, man? What do you think for MK12? Like, if they do reboot the franchise again, they start time over again, who do you think they're going to say was the winner?
I don't know. Whatever they go with, I don't want the next game to involve time travel. Like, because I think that time travel now, like once you play that card, you technically can't go any higher than that or any more crazy than that, because then, okay, what are the stakes? So like, what is like, the tension, and what is it that really like this whole series and franchise could really go? I want them to go a little bit much more traditional. It's like, okay, it focuses a lot more on the tournament. It focuses a lot more on like, obviously, Earth Realm being protected from Outworld and stuff like that. I'm a little bit more traditional with that sense. But again, it's very hard to do that, because now like what happens, like with all this stuff that's already confirmed lore as part of or canon to the series, like who's the big baddie, like what is other stuff that could be done? Like I obviously want to see more characters that I know that have been established, and more like legacy characters that we've come to know and love, and see like where else they could go from here. But I feel like it's going to be a big challenge, especially with all this stuff that's happened now at this point.
My thinking is it's going to be sort of like in the comics world, especially the DC universe, where every once in a while there's some kind of a crisis. Like the first time they rebooted the DC universe was in the 1980s with Crisis on Infinite Earths.
True.
And now they reboot it so often. Like there's New 52, there's Rebirth, there's I guess the other one was like Infinite
Final
Crisis.
Crisis.
Final Crisis. Yeah. Thank you. There's so many of them that you just know, okay, every once in a while DC's going to reboot itself. And now with Warner Brothers owning both DC and Mortal Kombat, there's sort of a little bit of parallelism where you can say, all right, every once in a while they're just going to reboot the Mortal Kombat universe too.
Yeah. Again, it'd be crazy. It's going to be wild to see what happens with this. Right now, I think Mortal Kombat is good right now. I think Mortal Kombat is riding at a high. There's a lot to get excited about. The actor that they got to play Shang Tsung, they're really milking him. They're really using him, which is great, and a lot of exciting stuff. But overall, though...
And just let's just say this, too. Like, out of all the times that NetherRealm has done upgrades and DLC and combat packs and stuff like that, when have they ever added new stuff to the story mode? Like, that's just never been done before.
This is the first time, yeah, that's right.
This is huge. Like, this is a thing that we should really get excited about and support them on. Like, as a huge fan of the lore and the story modes and stuff like that, I am so super hyped that they're doing something like this. This has never been done before in an MK title. Maybe in any video game. I'm not sure about that, but this is, like, really uncharted territory here. This is a huge victory for Mortal Kombat. Yeah, like, any fan should be super hyped about this.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, obviously, there's been other games that have had story content and stuff, but like as far as Mortal Kombat is concerned, or like a NetherRealms game, or that particular MK team game, I don't think so. I think this is the first time. So this is going to be really dope. But overall, Tabmok, thank you so much for chatting up with me about this stuff. This is going to be hype. This is going to be really, really cool for a lot of people. But where can everybody find you on the socials right now?
All right. So you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and most of all, YouTube, all at the same screen name, Tabmok99. So that's combat backwards, Tabmok99.
There you go. So go check out his stuff. They got a lot of videos. I know you just put up one not too long ago on your channel, which I thought was pretty dope, which is pretty interesting. You got anything else like interesting planned, like coming very soon?
Yeah, actually. Okay, so I'm working on one. I guess the last one that you probably would have seen was the one about Sub-Zero and how he got his scar, right? Like in the old timeline and the new timeline.
Yeah.
My next one that I'm planning on is going to be about Katana. Specifically, how old was she when her home realm of Edenia was invaded? Like, what was going on with her at that time back then? So that should be a lot of fun for fans who, especially the Katana fans and people who love the lore and who love to speculate on what happened back then. I'm going to straighten it all out.
Watch it be something crazy like she's 10,000 years old, according to the movie. Or some crazy thing like that, right? But yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, go check that stuff out, guys. Go show him some love or whatnot. Thanks again, Tabmok, for joining me on the show. Guys, let me know in the comment section if you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you can. Show some love. And also, don't forget to check out the Patreon page. Remember, patreon.com/JakeJamesLugo for all that exclusive content from the $1 level or higher. There's a ton of exclusive gaming content you guys are going to love. With that being said, we will talk to all of you again very soon. Peace out and stay epic, everybody.